Hey, what's going down, everybody? Oh, look, Peeps already froze. Look at that. We're
What?
starting right off with technical difficulties. Thank you, everybody. Welcome. We're so happy you're here to join us for the Black Panther Wakanda Forever spoiler review. Yes, so Peeps, get your camera back on because we've lost you already. There he is. All right, welcome.
We
Welcome
need
back.
you.
Thank you. Thank
Um,
you.
Yeah, so off to a hell of a start, but hey, welcome everybody. We are live right now on our YouTube channel. For those of you that are watching after the fact or you're listening to the audio podcast, this is on video format as well too. So two different ways for you to check out this spoiler review. Yes, so ready for another new Am I Still in the Air? And you know these faces are with me every Am I Still in the Air. We got Frigginz, we got
Hey,
Peeps. What is going down, guys? Welcome.
thanks for
Hey,
having us.
yes.
It's going to be fun talking about this one.
I can't wait to sit here and argue with Fred for 2 hours.
Why is it always me?
I don't know, because
There's always Fred.
we love you.
That's true. That's true. I am the odd one
He's our
out. But...
he's our film snob, and we gotta get into
I
it.
know the movie's called Black Panther, but there was too much Black Panther for me. I'm just saying. It wasn't black and white enough.
Get out of here.
That's awesome.
No,
Well, hey
thanks
guys,
for
we
having me.
are happy that you're here to join us. We're a couple days removed from this movie hitting theaters this past weekend, becoming number one movie in the world. Of course, this is the 30th film in the MCU. Man, we have hit the number 30, dude. It is
30?
crazy. I kind of stopped paying attention for a minute, and I was thinking in my head, this is probably like 28, 29. No, it's 30. This is the 30th one, and of course, this is also from a movie perspective wrapping up Phase 4 of the MCU. So that's kind of cool in its own right. And we're going to talk a little bit about Phase 4 towards the end of the show when we kind of wrap up and kind of give our thoughts on that as well too. But tonight it's about them spoilers because we want to be able to dive in and talk about this movie, the things we liked, the things we didn't like. Of course, the mid-credit scene. You know how we do it. We're going to break it down into kind of segments and go through this film in the way that we do. So once again, thanks for joining. This, of course, is Am I on the Air? You can see some socials here at the bottom to kind of introduce everybody. I am DONMEGA. You can follow me on Twitter at DXDonMega. We got Peeps in the house there at For My Peoples, and of course, Frigginz right there with a Z. And we'll do those shout outs there again at the end as well. So let's get into it, guys. And of course, as always, we start with our overall thoughts. So this is again going into the theater, opening night, sitting down. I know this is one of our most anticipated movies of the year for all of us. We were very curious what was going to happen here. This movie has been on quite the roller coaster. This movie was supposed to have come out, a while back. And of course, we lost Chadwick Boseman in real life to cancer, and that was super sad. And things had to pause, and they were getting ready to start filming this thing, so they had to go back. They had to rewrite the script. They had to make edits. They had to just revamp. They had to take time just to heal. Chadwick was very, very close with Ryan Coogler, the director of the film, and they had a really good working relationship. And the director had to kind of reevaluate, what do we do? And of course, Marvel made the decision to not recast T'Challa, which was also its own controversial decision. A lot of people felt, hey man, it's a character. Yeah, it's sad Chadwick passed, but we got to recast. And but then they said, nope, we're going to leave this character alone. We're going to go a different direction with it, and we'll go from there. And we were kind of curious, how are they going to pull this off? I'm shocked, honestly, that this movie even came out this year. This movie was, not only put on the backtrack because of the loss, but then COVID hit, and COVID got this thing shut down multiple times. Then Letitia Wright got hurt while they were filming, and they had to shut down again. And then when they finally went back to production, people got COVID again. And like this thing got shut down so many times. And I mean, I remember they were shooting more stuff like just this past summer. And at that point, I was like, there's no way this thing's going to make a November release date. And somehow they pulled it off, man. I would have put money down that this thing would not have made its release date this year. So very shocked, but hats off to everybody in Marvel and Disney and just everybody that worked on this film that they were able to get this thing done, because that is a feat in its own right. So so we go back. We all saw it on the preview night. Opening night, we're going in, we got our expectations, and what did we think on that original thought? Once again, walking out the theater, where were our heads at? So, Peeps, I'll start with you. Where was your head at walking out the doors?
Dude, walking out the theater, like I had this bias going in that I was like, unfortunately, I feel like no matter what they give me, I'm going to love this movie. And yep, it happened. I left the theater just like I love this movie. I can't wait to talk to my friends about it. Hey friends, what do you oh, they're all leaving. Okay. Nobody wants to sit and
It
talk
was
about it.
cold that night.
And that's okay, because sometimes, there's an inside of a theater that's not that cold that we could have still had the conversation, but it's okay. No. Man, when I left that theater, that post so I enjoyed the movie. I already knew in my head the little bits and bops that are nitpicky, but what I barely remember them. And that end credits scene, just like wow for me. And I know we'll get into that a bit later, but for the movie to end on that note, and that Rihanna song, and that little vision that she had of him, like what a beautiful way to end a movie, and also keep that legacy alive in a way, just to kind of pass on the legacy, if you will. And I loved it. Super ecstatic, super excited to talk about it. So I can't wait. We got to get to it. So
Yeah. All right. Good. Fred, overall thoughts. What were you thinking walking out?
I'm not going to take too long talking about this either, because I just want to talk about it. I had a lot of hype going into it ahead of time. I didn't watch most of the trailers. I think I watched only the first one, and I was like diligent about missing anything else. Like something would come up, I'd walk out the theater. I'm like, I'm gonna go get a popcorn or something.
It's very true. I can attest to
that. And I made sure to keep as much as a surprise as I possibly could. Of course, some of the toys always ruin it for you. So if you're trying to avoid spoilers, avoid toys. But
Fred can't.
Okay, yeah. But walking out, I found myself just full of emotion that I wasn't expecting. I liked the psychological component of this film and really diving in to certain elements that I was in no way prepared for. Like Pete said, are there things that I didn't love, some issues or whatever? Sure, that can be there. But what it did right extremely well. It gave me a lot of good feelings. It gave me sad feelings. It made me angry, made me happy. Like it was just this really ambitious thing that they were shooting for, and I think it really hit very well. So all in all, I walked out of there very pleased with the film. I was blown away. It threw some surprises at me that I was not expecting, and it made me say something that I never in a million years thought I would say, being a comic book fan for so long. But stay tuned and you'll find out what that is.
I know.
Look at that. Yeah, I agree with you guys. I mean, again, like, this was looking very forward to this movie. It wasn't towards the high end of my list until that first trailer dropped.
Yeah.
And then when that first trailer dropped, I was like, this thing looks incredible. And then it just shot through the roof. And then everything we were seeing after was just like, wow, this movie's gonna pack a punch. And yeah, went into it and then walked out just one word in my mind, which was just outstanding. Like that was my first go-to word in my head, was just that was outstanding what we just saw. It took me on a ride. Like you said, man, emotional roller coaster, for sure. I felt within the first 5 minutes, I had tears running down my face. In the last 5 minutes of the movie, I had tears running down my face. It was such an emotional roller coaster, man. I didn't expect it, and for it to hit as hard as it did. And obviously there's a deeper kind of feeling of loss in this, just because, yeah, a character died in a movie, but like we know what happened in real life, and there was just this realism to it that you don't really typically get when a character dies, right? You're just like, oh, whatever, they're dead in this movie, right? But you're
Right.
like, you can't help but connect that he did, and like, so we've lost not only Chadwick, but we've lost T'Challa, and it's just like, wow, like that hit me way harder than I ever expected
And
it
the
to.
interesting thing about that too is like it wasn't that he died like, fighting somebody or it was some grand like, blaze of
Right.
glory or anything. He just passed away, you know, due to a sickness and
Yeah.
And
everybody was helpless to stop it.
which also made it very real, right? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
adding to that emotion.
Yeah, that with all of Wakanda's technology and everything they got, right? The heart-shaped herb, everything, nothing could save him, right? Like, I mean, it just that was crazy. And then obviously going into the opening scroll of it just being Chadwick and the
Gosh, and it
Marvel
was
logo and
silent.
and silent.
Oh my
Yes, and
god,
silent.
man.
What a touch, right? Like,
That was
I mean, you could hear a
beautiful.
pin drop in my movie theater. Like
Same.
everybody was just
Yeah.
hushed.
The
Yeah.
silence
I
was
was like,
so loud. It was loud.
yes, it was deafening. That's how silent it was. It was deafening.
Yeah.
But touching.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting because I just watched the first one 2 weekends ago, like just to
Yeah.
kind of prep for it,
So
watched it
did
with
I.
my family, with my daughter and my wife, and we threw it on, and because I have all my movies digitally, and so my copy that I played, it had that scroll in the beginning, like they changed it. So
Oh,
like when I watched it, it literally did that all Chadwick like Marvel
Wow.
logo in the
that's cool.
beginning, and I was like, I don't remember them being on this, right? Like they actually went in and updated it, which I was like,
On
that's
Disney
really
Plus? Okay.
interesting.
Wow, wow.
No, not my copy on Vudu.
Oh,
Like I watched it
Interesting.
snap.
on Vudu. Yeah, on the
Interesting.
version that I owned. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it wasn't the Disney Plus one. So I thought that was really interesting. So when it happened in the movie, I was like, that's the same one that we saw at home. But I
Yeah.
don't think it was silent. I think when it did it at Black Panther, they had the music playing behind it, but it was that scroll with all the
Of
Chadwick in
him.
purple.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
so that was really, really cool. So yeah, walked out amazing. My daughter really loved it. My wife actually really loved it, and she's been really hard to please lately with movies. And yeah, we all just walked out really, really thrilled. Kiki Pat, his wife, like everybody, we were just like, wow, man, what a film. So
Yeah.
Cool.
very high overall thoughts, obviously, from all three of us here. So we'll shift with our very high praise and go right into what didn't we like, and get this kind of out the way. This might be a pretty quick segment, since we all seem to like it a lot. So we'll see what we nitpick out of it, right, guys?
Yeah.
And I do have a couple just little nitpicks that I'm just going to kind of kick off with, that as I pondered on it over the last couple days. I was hoping to have seen it twice already. I always like to go into these spoiler reviews of having seen the movie twice for different perspectives, but have been super busy and not had the chance to do that. So I do plan to see it again. Just we'll see when I get to that.
Yeah.
But off the one showing, so my first nitpick, and probably still my biggest thing, and this is something I know I talked about on my show like way before when we were knowing this movie was coming, is really still the decision to go with Shuri as Black Panther. I always felt that it should not be Shuri. I know that in the comic books, like she takes the mantle here and there, but this is Marvel Studios. Like we don't always do things by the comic book way. We kind of do it what makes sense narratively based on the films that we've seen, right? And Shuri to me is an awesome character, and I love her, and I thought she did amazing in this film. So I'm not taking that away. It's again, she's the scientist. She's the smart, scientist that figures it out with technology and like kind of gets it done like in a Tony Stark kind of way. But she's not a fighter. She's not really, like in this movie, like her mom didn't even want her to go find Riri Williams, right? Like she was like, "Don't take my daughter," like she can't be in the field. And now I'm
Yeah.
supposed to just believe she could be the Black Panther. Like to me, like there was just so many better choices, right? Like again, I still feel like it should have gone to M'Baku. I still feel he should be the Black
Yes.
Panther.
Yes.
Very much so. I mean, I guess he's the king of Wakanda now. Like, why is he not the Black Panther, right? So he should be it. I feel like if they wanted to go the female route, it should have been Lupita Nyong'o. It should have been Nakia. She was the warrior, right? She was the one that rescued Shuri. She was right
Makes
there
sense.
when the herb was recreated. It should have been like, no, this needs to go to you. T'Challa loved you. You were the badass of Wakanda. Let's do this, right? If it needed to, it could have went to Okoye, right? They stripped her of being in the Dora Milaje. I was like, maybe they're setting this up for her to be the Black Panther, right? No, they go to Shuri, which is the safe bet, and I get it, she's a sister and blah blah blah, but I still don't feel that is the right decision to move forward with.
Yeah.
So little bit bummed about that. Don't hate it. Like I was fine with it. She did good in it. I just still feel like the decision should have been something different. I I would have liked more explanation on T'Challa's death. It happened so quick in the beginning, and I know that we kind of just needed to get through that piece real quick, right? Because then we jump a year later. But this whole like mystery disease, right? Like, I feel like there should have been a bigger explanation to this. Like, what could have really killed him that like didn't spread to anybody else in Wakanda? Or, like he had the heart shaped herb, so he had a healing factor in him that should have been able to counter any kind of real disease. If they would have just maybe put a little bit more into it, that this was some alien thing that he caught while he
Super,
was doing
you
another,
got super cancer.
I
That's
mean,
a
didn't have
little
to be
too real.
cancer. It just he was off planet doing something with the Avengers, and he caught something that he brought back, and he got sick. Like, just a little bit more, like rather than kind of this throwaway of like the first 2 minutes. Oh, he's dying. Oh, his heart rate's down, and we've lost him. Like, okay, like what could have done that to somebody that's already superhuman? Like, what is this thing? Is this something that the rest of Wakanda needs to worry about? Like, is this something like, I just felt like they were super vague about it. It was just like, oh, it's just the disease and we don't know what it was and he's dead. Like, so I would have just liked a little bit more explanation. I think they could have done that pretty quick in a roundabout way and just been able to move on from it. So, like I said, a nitpick again, but just the thought of like, I just would have liked a little bit more to that, or maybe he's on his deathbed, for half the movie while we're trying to figure out, a cure, and Namor fucks up the cure, and that kind of creates the problem, right? Like, because it's a resource that's with the Telecans or something. They could have done something different maybe, and then he ends up passing because of it, and that's the kind of catalyst of, bringing the film kind of further. But and my last little nitpick, and this is a real big nitpick, but just thinking through it, is the funeral and where was the Avengers? Where were the other people that he fought side by side
Yes.
with?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
bugged me just because when Tony died, everybody was there. And
Everybody.
again, I'm just like, dude, like they went to Wakanda. Infinity War all takes place in Wakanda at the end. Like the king passed, you couldn't have had, Thor and Bucky and Falcon and all them like there just to at least say goodbye, like in a real quick kind of thing. I just felt like I felt that missing, that there wasn't a bigger world kind of aspect to the Black Panther passing.
Yeah.
And so that
So
that kind of bugged me.
I see that, and I 100% agree. Yes, they definitely should have, but I don't think the Wakandans outside of the White Wolf see the Avengers that way, especially with him passing. They're like, he's our king, he is our loved one. This
Right.
is it's going to be family only, Wakandans only kind of thing, and they wouldn't allow anybody else to come in. But it
I don't know,
maybe
but they
even
let
that
everybody in for that fight, like that's why it just takes me back to that with, Infinity War, and just they were all there. I mean, the Queen saw them all, everybody met. Like, I get that, like it's kind of, and that could be the thing, like, oh, it's a family ceremony, we don't want
yeah,
all these people in, but that's why you at least just have a couple core people come and just kind of pay their respect, and then they're gone, kind of thing. Like, it just
especially
would have
Winter
been nice.
Soldier.
It would have been nice for that bigger picture again.
I think Winter Soldier and maybe like Old Man Cap or
Yeah.
something like that. That
Yeah.
would have kind of made
Yeah.
sense.
Those two would have been
Yeah,
good.
just give me something. Give me something. But that's all I got. Those are my 3 bullet points. Shuri, Black Panther, more explanation on his death, and the Avengers at the funeral, just something a little bit more. But that's all I could really think of. Really like sat and kind of pontificated on this. Like that was it, So, Peeps, let's go to you. Anything stand out to you that you were just kind of wish they did differently or changed overall?
Well, I'll purposefully leave one off because I know Frigginz is going to bring it up. So I'll at least leave you one, buddy.
Okay.
But and about the Shuri thing, I agree, DX. Like, I think definitely M'Baku would have been a better choice in terms of the protector of Wakanda. And if it would have been Shuri, I think I would have accepted it more if she used more technology to assist her. like maybe that whole thing with the AI that she was building up, like maybe that she has like little AI drones or something around her that kind of help her fight, because like you said, she's not a fighter. The first movie, she didn't even go to any of the places. She was just doing it virtually, which kind of leads into my next gripe. I don't think they should have let Riri into in the midst of combat. She's a college student, and they're like, "Hey, you want to go kill some fish people?" Yeah, that
Right.
sounds fine. Like, and then she's just there out murdering like the Talocans. Like, it just didn't seem like that's something they would have her character do, or her character should even have any business doing. She should have been in that AI driver's seat back in Wakanda, like maybe piloting a suit from there. And then she's like, "Ooh, I like the feel of this. I kind of want to make my own kind of," and then maybe leading into the show a little bit more. I don't know. That's a little nitpick. I did not like, again, Shuri. She's not really a fighter, a combat, but she's able to handle Namor or Namor, you know, hand to hand, but like she gets impaled.
Yes,
Straight
exactly.
impaled.
No
Like,
explanation of how that
her
signed off.
spinal cord is not there anymore. Like it was straight through the stomach. Like she's got a whole belly button in there now, and she just
The vibranium just healed
she
it all
just
up.
walks
Yeah.
it off. Like you hear a little sizzle as if like there's nanobites going in her belly button hole, but like I don't
Right.
think she's walking after that. But
Yeah.
no, she's fine. And I don't know, that
Totally fine.
that bugged me a bit. And then
Bugged
how
me
they
too.
flew back. They just flew back on what? Their ship exploded. I did not understand how they got back to the warship from their little desert island oasis. I didn't.
Called an Uber.
Yeah.
They have Wakanda Ubers.
Wakanda
They
Uber,
went,
yeah.
They went, "We ball back."
Yeah. They're just
Came and got 'em.
invisible, flying all over the place. So
We ball back.
yeah, that bugged me. And then even like the Wakandans, right? Like they're this brilliant um group of individuals, especially for like combat. They thought, hey, it'll be a great idea to attack these fish people on water in the middle of the ocean on a boat. Like there's nothing that can that go wrong with it. Everything would go wrong with that. Like, yes, I get it. Take the fight to them. They'll never expect it. But like there should have been like a
Well, that's how
plan
they
B.
drew them out, though. Was they were pretending to be another ship digging for vibranium, so
Mhm.
they had no idea it was like Wakandans. So I mean, how else would they have really lured them to them for this fight? You know,
I don't know, like there
like
were a
yeah, it
bunch.
seems weird to do it on water, but that's how they. You know, it wasn't like they were like, "Come get us," and they're just sitting on a big pirate ship.
Yeah.
Like it was. You know, they had the little womb thing on the bottom of the ship, and then you know the main thing was just to lure them by saying, "Hey, we just found out there's another ship in the ocean drilling for vibranium. We need to go get it," you know, and then they, you know, tricked them all, you know.
Yeah.
So I
Let's hit
kind of
them.
understood that, you know.
Let's hit them with some sound. We'll get them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked.
Yeah. Let me see. I guess the only other really big nitpick that I have is, and yeah, obviously I'll bring up more as we go through, but
Mhm.
the biggest one is I was expecting Lake Bell to have like a bigger role in the movie,
Mm.
and for her just to be like, "Hey, I'm here and I'm dead." I don't know. I guess I was kind of hoping that she would have like a bigger role somehow. I don't know. Maybe like the next Ross or something. I don't know. Maybe like a scientist that maybe would even carry into the Ironheart show or something. I don't know. And then that the whole thing with Ross, I can say that too. Like I feel like a lot of that was unnecessary. Like it really didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like they
I
could
think it
have
was
done
just there. It was
something
just
else.
it was
Yeah.
that Marvel piece just to show Val, show
Yep.
that they were married and lead for Thunderbolts. Like that was a Feige moment, I think. I was
Yeah.
like, "Yo, I just need you to do one thing for me in
Yeah.
this movie.
Throw them
Use
in
these two
there.
characters. Go."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that whole thing. I mean, it was pretty cool and well done how they did it. How she was like kind of playing them the whole time, but I don't know. At the same time, like I feel like they could have done something else with all that. But I was glad to see him in the movie. I was like, oh, he's the guy from the other movie, and yeah, so. But yeah, that's where I'll leave with our big nitpicks. I mean, a lot of things that I liked
Yeah.
about it. Other really small stuff that like, yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and say like I would have liked Namor to be a little, I guess, a little more menacing. Like he was like such like a cutesy love bug when he brought Shuri into the Talokan. You know, he's like so nice and everything, and then he just turns into like a mom murderer like 5 minutes later. It's like, wow, that's like an Anakin kind of shift, and I don't know. It just felt
I
very
think because they didn't
drastic.
want to go full villain with him, you know, like they were trying very much to just have
That's
him be this
anti,
antagonist that's like,
yeah.
hey, like I'm about my people, you know, and as long as my people are left alone, like we all about that love, you know. But as soon as you mess with us, we
I'm
gonna
killing
kill
your
you.
mama. I'm killing
So
your
yeah,
mama. I'm
exactly.
going.
He
So,
Yeah.
you know,
wasn't
don't
going
push
after a
me because I'm
mom. He
close to
was
the
going
edge.
after the queen. It was a power move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. And this isn't really, it's kind of a nitpick, but like when they were in Talokan and they're like swimming around, like I would have liked for it to be like a brighter, like you, I don't know, like see the civilizations. Like I could barely see anything past like 5 feet, and I get it. They're in the depths of the ocean, and everything's supposed to be dark. There's not supposed to have any light, but old boy created a sun. He had a mini sun there. So I feel like at
He
that
hadn't pulled
moment,
it out yet, so that's why it was darker.
yeah,
Because
oh,
remember
yeah,
when he
yeah,
brings Shuri up, he's like, "Take a look," and the thing's all, and the sun came up. So
yeah,
he's like, "Dad brought the sun to my people."
You
yeah,
also
I th-
can't
I
copy
kind of dug.
Aquaman.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is I kind of dug that it was drastically different than Atlantis, right? Because
it was.
Atlantis and Aquaman is super neon and vibrant, and
Well, yeah.
Atlantis
I
is
mean, I don't
super
need
colorful.
octopus playing drums
Yeah,
or nothing like that. But,
Yeah, please
but
but
don't.
just
yeah,
you know, but
you're
this
right.
this looked more like what would a civilization look at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah,
It would look
no,
like this. It'd be pretty dark and dingy. So, you
definitely.
know, I
And the
kind of
people,
dug that.
I appreciate that the people, it wasn't like, Aquaman or SpongeBob where they're just walking around underwater. Like it's not,
Yeah,
it literally seemed like people like holding their breath and they only had like
yeah,
20 seconds
totally.
left. Like,
Yeah,
but like,
totally.
it's different enough, and like you said, like they're not copying Aquaman and all that. It was unique, and it people underwater looked like people underwater.
People
So
underwater.
yeah, so so yeah, so for that, like that's what I said, like nitpick, but also like I definitely give that one a pass as well. So
Yeah.
okay, all right, I'm
That's
done.
why I like that, you know, even that with them changing it from Atlantis to Talocan just to kind of make it something, you know, a little different. That's not the same thing. Um, One thing I just wanted to say, going back to my Shuri and Black Panther thing, I wanted to touch on was, you know, one thing I was really hoping they would do in the movie that I had talked about before was if they wanted to do the Shuri thing, is give it to her, let her do the fight, and then after that fight, right when she settles down with Namor and she's like yield, and he yields, and it's like okay, we're gonna you know coexist. Then she's like, okay, I don't want this shit no more, right?
I
Like I
I
only
think
did
she
this
did
fight.
that. I think she did
No,
that.
she didn't.
No,
It's
Umbaku.
implied. It's
No,
implied.
I mean we'll get there, but
It,
like yeah, Umbaku was fighting at the throne at the end.
And she wasn't
That's
there.
just to be king. I think she's gonna
That's what
continue to
I'm
be Black
saying.
Panther.
Oh, I see what
Hmm.
you're saying.
She's yes.
But
He's
if
gonna be
he's
king of
king,
Wakanda.
he'll get Black Panther powers though. If he's king,
Now
I
she
thought
don't
that's the
that
make
too,
rule.
but
another
supposedly that's
flower.
not it doesn't have to do that. Like the king doesn't have to be Black
That's
Panther. It's just the
true.
protector of Wakanda is Black Panther. So she's gonna continue it. Mbaku's just gonna be the king. She didn't want to rule.
That's
So that was the only difference there. But that's what I would have liked though, is like let her do the fight, right? You get the moment of her in the suit, and then she's like, This isn't for me. I'm a scientist, I'm more of the brains. You know, let me pass this on to somebody that will better protect us in this case. Here you go, Mbaku. Here's my recreated heart-shaped herb, right? And then he gets the and then you just know that's setting up the sequel, right? Like, okay, boom, he's got the flower now. You see the little veins coming out. Oh, I feel good. Like, boom, done. Right?
but
Movie's
he's
over.
not the Black
Like,
Panther. He's the white or man ape kind of thing. That would be
Man ape,
dope.
yeah, that would be cool.
yeah, they could do something like that too. But I was hoping it would transition to him for Black Panther. Like that way you kind of get both of what you want to do, right? You give it to Shuri, she avenges basically, you know, the anger she has with her losing her brother. She avenges her mom's death. she becomes a Black Panther, and then she passes it kind of off at that point. That's what I was hoping for, but we didn't get it. So Fred, let's go to you. What were your standout things that you walked away going,
Well, first, right now I'm having some disagreements with y'all because I'm on the opposite end with the Shuri thing, but I'll get to that later. Of course, I have to be different.
Wouldn't be a show without it. Right on the opposite side.
What? No, but for my nitpicks, really there was kind of two things that I struggled with the most when I want to like even dig for something to complain about. And again, nitpick, right? The first thing that did bother me quite a bit, I'll actually be honest. It's tiny, it's little, it doesn't really matter. I needed to just let it go. But okay, first off, how do you pluralize the Tolkien? Is it just Tolkien to incorporate all of them?
It's a good
Tolkonians?
Tolkonians, Tolkienese.
Yeah.
Like, or you could just say Tolkien.
I'm just gonna say Tolkien. So when Okoye like jacks those ones up in that fight on the street, she like literally impales one. They're down on the ground, completely dead. They jump back up and they take off riding full speed like nothing happened. And then we cut to the end, and Nakia blasts one, and that one died. And then the next one gets blasted. Oh, that one died. And then we have cut to the very end in the battle, and they're dying left and right. So I didn't understand what that was supposed to mean. Like, why did those three not die, but then the other ones did die? I was very, very confused about that whole aspect.
They were higher ranked, so they're like harder to kill, like a boss in a video game.
Yeah, they had a little few HP.
The rest of them are like stormtroopers. It just takes one shot, you're out. So
that stuff, those little details like that.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
I hate that
because it made it seem like they heal. Because she even had that conversation of like, I gave them a death blow and they got right back up. Like they literally bring it back up. So yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, that one chick got shot one time and was like,
yeah. Yep. So what's the difference at the end? I don't get it. So I think that could have been clarified a little bit more. Peeps, I listened to your episode of the People's Forum where you did the discussion about some of the dislikes, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying, particularly like with Riri not necessarily needing to be there, and same with Ross and Val. I am growing to really dislike every time Val comes on screen. I'm just putting that out there. Oh my god! Every time she's on,
done enough to dislike her yet. Come on.
Oh, she's done enough for me. I'm already rolling my eyes like, oh. But one of my other nitpicks, I guess, would be, I think I was struggling a little bit in the first maybe quarter of the film, maybe third, of the lack of a defined lead. And feeling the loss of Chad in that sense as well was that I felt like I kept asking myself, well, wait, where are we going with this? Who's doing what? I felt like they were juggling between the Queen and Okoye and Shuri, and I'm just like, wait, who's supposed to be in charge here? And who am I supposed to be?
A movie with a bunch of side characters, and that makes it difficult because you don't have a defined lead in this.
And I did struggle with that initially. Now they got to it, and it was, the benefit of the doubt is the fact that it was like you needed to lead up to those things happening or whatever. So I'll give them a pass, but it was a struggle in the beginning, and I think that impacts my overall ranking or experience, because I did find myself kind of getting pulled out and being like, wait, where's my lead person? Who am I supposed to be following? And I didn't even really care who it was. I felt like I just wanted them to pick one, but I was getting so many different people from different angles that I didn't know which one I should be kind of following. And it's fine. I love them all. So it worked out ultimately, but again, nitpick. That's kind of what I was experiencing in the first quarter of the movie. But really, those were my two biggest things. I felt everything else kind of wrapped up real nicely towards the end as well. I'll add one more thing. I hate so in first Black Panther, I just rewatched it, and when they go to that like should have been Madripoor club, Okoye busts out that spear and she's just like stabbing fools left and right. There ain't no electric shock on the back of that stick. So in the opening, I mean, they did have that, but she wasn't using it. And then in the opening scene when they're fighting the Navy SEALs, everyone, all the Dora Milaje were shocking everybody. And at first I was like, come on, just stab these dudes. But they explained it later as they brought him in as kind of the peace treaty, like, hey, we didn't kill your dudes, but
This
don't
time.
do that again. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then I saw a lot of the shock sticks happening later when they were fighting the Tulakan as well.
Really? I thought they were killing them. That's where I had.
They were, but I still did see some of those electro stuff, and the electro blades drive me bonkers. So
I think Anika, right? Because she loved that little
electro daggers. Yeah. But so that was one little other tiny thing that was just like making my skin crawl.
Okay,
but that's it.
Interesting.
That's it.
Sweet. Well,
you made
then
me think
flip
of
the
something
script.
else, Fred, but I already forgot. So
oh, okay.
I'll bring it up.
All right. We'll go from obviously what didn't we like to what did we love. So these are the things that obviously stood out for us, right? The things that worked really well, the things we liked. You know, so it's hard to not just be like everything else other than what we just said.
Right. Done. Episode's over.
The movie.
Let's move on. So let's talk about the mid-credits.
Let's go to the rankings.
Yeah. You know, because I mean, God, I mean, to list it all out, I mean, it would take forever. Like, I mean, it just I like the pacing of this movie. I enjoyed all the characters. I thought the acting was incredible. I really do think Angela Bassett's going to get a supporting actress nomination at the Oscars. I really do think, you know, there's going to be that potential there for her. I don't know if she'll win, but she was phenomenal in this and really like had that queen mother just mentality, right? I loved every time she was on screen. I thought Letitia Wright was incredible as Shuri. I mean, again, we talked about the emotional roller coaster, right? And what an arc she had in this movie, right? Of trying to deal with the grief and dealing with being pissed off and wanting to just right the wrongs, and you know, and then having that, you know, she takes the herb and then she sees Killmonger, right? Of all people, right? She doesn't expect to. You're thinking, I'm gonna see my mom, I'm gonna see my brother, like who am I gonna see? And then it's Killmonger, and he's like, yo, we're like each other, you know, and she's like, I'm nothing like you, you know, but it's that hate that was filled, right? Like when even Namor says, like, you said I want to burn this place to the ground, let's burn it down together, you know, like let's do this. And she had to come to terms with that, you know, and kind of find herself. I loved all the action scenes in this thing. Namor, holy shit. Like, I mean, what a debut for a character. He was awesome. I mean, to have like an unknown actor like step in, Tinoch Huerta, I think is his name, how it's pronounced. And he just, God, dude, I mean, this dude came out of nowhere and like he was badass, dude. He was badass. Like you said, like that he could go from I love my people and we've lived down here all this time, and I just, you know, and then immediately be like, I'm gonna kill all these sons of bitches, like, and just lead with vengeance. And he's chopping down airplanes, and he's just, you know, he's got his own, you know, Wakandan spear, and you know, made out of vibranium, and just that whole thing of the vibranium being a part of Talokan also was super cool, that they were able to kind of connect those two, and Wakanda figuring out like, man, all the stories we were told is basically a lie, like it's not just ours, right? Like it's in other parts of the world. And I love how they use the water to sneak into Wakanda, you know, that there's just water everywhere and we can find our ins and outs, even with your domes and your, you know, science to kind of try to keep us out. Here I am, you know, and he was incredible. I mean, M'Baku always as well. We were joking before, like, Kukulkan, and he just, you bald-headed demon.
That was so funny.
Like, he's so good, dude. Winston Duke, shout out Winston Duke. I love M'Baku. That's why I wanted him to be Black Panther. He's such a cool character, and so I'm excited to see him rule Wakanda. Man, I can't wait to see what he does in the future. But man, like, I don't know, dude. Like, I'm just gonna throw that stuff out and pass it on to y'all, because it's just, I mean, what else can you say, dude? It's just, it's the emotion, it's the excitement. I liked Riri Williams, so I mean, I would love to hear you touch upon that more, Peeps. I didn't listen to your show yet. I texted you the other day because I wanted to be more surprised coming into here on like where our feelings were. And so I'm interested to hear if you didn't think she was a good fit. I thought that was a great introduction. I think the girl that plays her is incredible. I thought she was a little spitfire. I liked her character. It makes me so much more excited to see the Ironheart show now. I love
Yeah.
when Marvel introduces people in another project, right? Just like how
Yeah.
we got T'Challa in Civil War. It was
Right.
like, yo, give me a little piece, and now I'm stoked for Black Panther, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing I feel here with Ironheart. Like, we got to see the Mark One suit, we got to see the little Wakanda suit. I can't wait to see the suit she makes in her own show, you know. And just, I really liked her character. I thought she fit in well with the Wakandans. I thought she interacted with everybody really well. She was funny. And I just, you know, I like that we got this little Spitfire that's super smart and, you know, could do all this stuff. And I'm really excited for that show now, and that's due to this movie. And I just read the other day that the producers on this movie are producing Ironheart also, and saying like that her show will be a direct continuation from Wakanda Forever. So it immediately follows up kind of like what happens next, you know? And that's
Should be a
awesome, man. I'm
movie.
like, give
Make
it
it a
to me,
movie.
you
Let's
know?
make it a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. Might as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, it won't be. But hopefully,
Good.
this is going to be a badass show, though.
Yeah.
And I'm way more excited for it now, having seen her and met the character. So I'm really excited about that. I agree with you on the Everett Ross and Val. Like, I get what it was doing. I get we're kind of setting up. You know, she's running the CIA now. We know kind of more of what she is, right? We always were wondering before, like, she's kind of like this Nick Fury, but it's kind of shady, right? She's only dealt with a couple people.
Yeah.
But we're like, who is she and what does she do? And now we know she's leading the CIA, and you know, so I like how that's going to play into Thunderbolts. But it could have been completely cut out, and it wouldn't have made any difference in the movie.
Yeah.
You could take it or leave it with all those scenes with them. You know, I know they wanted to get Everett Ross back in there just because he was in the first movie, and you know, they were following up that storyline of like, I want to help them because T'Challa saved my life, you know, and I owe everything to the Wakandans, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I am on their side. But you could have had a small little part for him and moved on. It didn't have to be going back and forth to him multiple times. But yeah, the action scenes, the attack on Wakanda was incredible, man. Like
That
seeing
was
all the
amazing.
water stuff and the fights, and when Namor punched M'Baku, man, and they did that slow-mo of his
Oh, that was
chest thing just
cool.
breaking, and he's
Yeah.
like, you know, you felt it, right? Like, I think I lost breath watching that punch. I was like,
It's like,
oh, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. It was great, dude. Like, but yeah, I mean, the acting incredible, story incredible, the emotional ride I went on. Like you said, the ending, mwah, like the ending of this film with her at the fire and being like, okay, now I'm gonna burn the thing, right? Like after like her mom tried to do it with her at the beginning, and she's like, I'm not ready, I don't want to do it, and
Yeah.
her finally realizing I am ready, and she burns it, right? And they show all the clips of Chadwick and all the different scenes of them interacting in the other movies, and it's just, again, you're just like like, you know, like it's just was so emotional. And then like you said, man, the Rihanna song that just
So
kills me every
good.
time now. You know, that's why my new episode of this week is called Lift Me Up, and that's the name of the song, because it just, that stuck with me, man. That song like
Yeah.
is like, that's one of those movie songs that like every time I hear it on the radio now, it's just gonna make me think of that movie and think of that scene.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's an emotional song, and it was just so perfect to end the movie and go from her finally finding peace with everything and then going into the credits and kind of wrapping up the film.
There's a
Right, so we'll talk mid
compilation
credits here in a second.
on the internet with I think they titled it something like Marvel Phase 4 like tragedy, and it shows like
Yeah.
WandaVision, and it's playing that song that Lift Me Up,
Oh,
and
really?
it shows like the WandaVision, her dropping to her knees, and then it cuts over to Spider-Man when everyone's holding Peter Parker, and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh man, it was a neat little compilation and perfect song.
That's great to hear, and that's great to see. We're going to talk about Phase 4 thoughts here in a second, and
Yeah.
that was one thing I was going to bring up was I think we've now got the picture that Phase 4 is about grief. I mean, I really do.
Yeah,
Like, we've been
pretty
wondering
much.
this whole time, what the fuck is the point of this phase, right? Like, it just feels
Yeah.
like it's all over the place. But then after Black Panther, it almost becomes this clear picture. And like you said, WandaVision, Spider-Man, like, I mean, all these different things of grief and
Even
dealing with
Shang-Chi,
grief, and Shang-Chi, and just losing people you love, and everything, man. Thor, right? Losing
Falcon,
Jane,
Winter
like,
Soldier, yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
like, I mean, it really is about grief. So I mean, it's just, so that's an interesting idea for this phase. That's the big focal point on it.
Yeah.
Even Eternals to an extent, right? Like, I mean, it was
Yeah.
all lie, and everything they knew was not true, and just everything everybody went through. Uh, Black Widow, knowing what happens with that, like, and
Yeah.
Yelena having to move on from that.
And
That movie
Hawkeye.
ends with her at the
Hawkeye
grave,
too, yeah.
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye as
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
so yeah, so we'll talk more on that in here in a sec. But yeah, that's what I got, man. Just everything. We loved it, everything.
Yeah.
So, Peeps, what are the standouts for you?
I mean, if it's okay, I'll go ahead and pass this to Frigginz. Like, I spent an hour and 20 minutes talking about things that I love about this movie. I'm curious to hear what Frigginz has to say.
Well, for me, I found it very entertaining. Obviously, I think first and foremost, I mean, this is a film that captures your attention. You mentioned the action scenes and all of that kind of aspect is, top notch as we expect from Marvel. For me, some of the things that really stood out was number one, as far as the action component, I really enjoyed the water bombs. That was something I never thought I could
Cool.
even have imagined. And like that first time when they use it on the bridge and the car goes flying, I was like, is that water? Like what? And I always appreciate when they can throw in something that you couldn't imagine or expect.
Mhm.
And, getting surprised, especially in a Marvel movie where it seems like we've seen everything,
Right.
to get something new that you weren't expecting. Right.
Yeah.
And
So
what
that
would
was
underwater people have as a weapon, right? Like, I mean, it makes so
exactly
much sense
so much
that would be
sense.
their thing. I'm gonna throw water at you.
Is awesome. And so that was really fun. I especially so I loved in the first Black Panther finding this like new culture and seeing, the from everything from the clothing to the building structure to just every little detail I wanted to eat up as much as I can get. And so coming into this, I kept thinking like, how are they gonna one up that? And honestly, like as heartbreaking as it was, seeing the funeral scene was just absolutely amazing to see more about this culture and to learn more about Wakanda. And then I thought, well, now they're adding, Tulakan, and how is that going to look? And then seeing that and being so different and tying it to the kind of Aztec Mayan kind of vibe was amazing. We're getting to see things that I never would have thought. And I mentioned earlier about kind of my little hint about the thing that this movie made me say, and I'll talk about that with Namor, was when he came on, I was instantly glued to the screen. I wanted to see him stay on that screen, keep doing stuff, like don't go away. Like I was, he's magnetic on screen. You want to see more of him, and you got that almost instantly. And it was funny walking out of the theater. I did the one thing I did tell Sean before I ran off into the cold was that never in my entire life, as being a comic fan for so long, I have always laughed at and scoffed at and just made fun of Namor. He's been such a joke to me, and to come out of this film and say Namor or Namor was so freaking awesome. Like that's something I never ever thought I would say in my life.
And I love how they did his like flying, like how he's running in the air.
Literally what I was just about to say. Like I love the like football juke stop, or like the basketball, like planting the foot and then shooting off the other way. That was so cool to see how the wings. When I think about Namor, the comic and cartoon character that I've seen, I think about a cartoon where he comes out of the water and Human Torch is like, why do you have little fins on your or wings on your ankles? And he's like, to fly. And I just would laugh because I thought it was so stupid. And this film does an amazing job of making a silly concept absolutely cool. So
it shouldn't work. It shouldn't work on screen. It's stupid as fuck. But when you see it, you're like, that's cool. And like I said, in the way they made him fly because of it, it all worked. It worked so well.
Absolutely. Which did make me feel like they were being a little lazy with Riri. I really especially didn't like the graphics for her first suit. And then even when the new suit came, it felt like too CGI for me. But anyway, I really appreciated the way that they made him fly. I thought that was one of my favorite aspects of it. I do have to disagree with you, Don, about Shuri being the Black Panther scenario. What I enjoyed about this was, so coming into it and thinking and rewatching Black Panther, I did have those initial feelings that you talked about, of saying like, well, she's the science mind, she's not the fighter. Why would this work? But what I loved about it, it's, if we're thinking of this as kind of like a discussion about grief and loss and a kind of a psychology experiment almost, you know, what happens to the scientist's mind when they can't solve the problem? And because of that, they have these deep emotional regrets and frustrations and anger. And it was painful to see, but it was interesting to see how they explored that and how she coped with the loss and her inability to do something about it. With as smart of a brain as she had, she still couldn't stop this from happening, which is also another like discussion about how death, like, you know, even if you have like all the technology in the world, you can't stop death. Like everyone has to pay that price eventually. And so I love these like different psychology connotones that they were placing in the film, and all this different things that they were saying about grief and accepting it and moving on, and you know, leaning on people and finding new connections and relations and all this stuff. I mean, it was I feel like you could really spend a lot of time diving into all the nitty gritty of those kinds of details. I will also note that you were talking about not that you wanted more explanation about T'Challa's death and like what was the virus. I'm on the opposite end of that. Like, I actually really liked that they didn't, because for me, that loss was too real to the world experiencing this film, that like in a way I feel like it's better that they did it. Like like, let's just move past that. Let's not play with that. That was something that actually really happened, and let's just move forward.
That's a decision that you made when you chose not to recast. I mean, that's on the makers too. Like, to
sure, but it doesn't
the
matter.
character's too big to just off screen kill him in 2 minutes. You know, at the beginning of a movie, like he's too big of a you know, character. He's an icon. Like, it just felt too throwaway to not give it
I
more.
thought that at first, but after watching it, I realized it was just too real, and I actually appreciated more that they did do that, because I feel like it's also showing some respect to the like his real family and his real friends and his, you know, all those people, just being like, you know what, we're not going to focus on that. So that's something I did like out of it. I did appreciate that they kind of were letting that be a little private, but at the same time, like, okay, we're just going to move on from here. So anyway, yeah, I mean, the new cast members were cool. The old returning cast members were cool. The action was cool. The suit was cool. Love seeing the new Black Panther suit. But those are the biggest standouts for me that I wanted to touch on. And I feel like I've been talking for a while, so I'll let John actually say something here. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it really boils down to the psychology component for me that really strung true with me, and I found it really intriguing.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I guess that's my cue then, huh?
That's your cue. Go, Peeps, go.
Get away.
All right. Well, I definitely agree with Frigginz on a couple levels. Same thing with the explanation for T'Challa's death. I was okay with like something very simple and just kind of brushing over it, but yeah, that's just my thoughts. But also the psychological aspect of it. I feel like a lot of the characters were processing his death, you know, kind of differently. You know, Ramonda, Angela Bassett's character, she was very like, you know, like showing face, like, no, it's not affecting me and it's not impacting me. But then you see her like, you know, with her crown off and everything, and she's still being affected. But like, her role is to, like, she has a daughter that is going down a dark path that she can see, and she's trying to keep her daughter like on the same path, like on the right path, but while she's still hurting. Nakia, like you think that Nakia just couldn't take it and then leaves, but you find out later on why Nakia, or not, yeah, Nakia actually leaves. But like, yeah, like even her, like the way that she kind of processed, like his death, and then obviously Shuri with her anger and all that. And M'Baku, like his character had a lot of growth, I feel like, between movies. I mean, obviously with the Jabari tribe now being a part of the main council. And there's that line, I can't remember it exactly, but Shuri says something to him like, even if I am just a small girl playing with toys or something, that line from the first.
Scoffs at tradition.
Yes. I love that they brought that back. And then M'Baku is just kind of like, yeah, not all the time.
I said that.
You're cool now, though. You're cool. Yeah, but
I like
like
that they went with the fact that T'Challa, he said that T'Challa had asked him to be counsel for her. That he'd be
Yeah,
somebody that she
that
could
was
talk to. I thought that
yes.
was really cool. That he's like, hey, your brother told me, to provide you counsel. So here I am. Let's talk it through. And
Yeah.
that I thought that was a really cool moment between the two.
Yeah, and you have to think like he is a king. Like he has that wisdom. He as silly as he is, we're all vegetarians.
His
It's
carrot.
Yeah.
right. But like I don't know. I absolutely love Winston Duke in this role. I mean, he's great, like in general,
Yeah.
but just I love him as this character in this role. But like the biggest scene that I always go to is when Okoye was stripped of her rank. And
We're gonna ask about that.
oh my gosh, man, like Angela Bassett, right? Like, she says, yeah, you're stripped of your rank, you're fired, you're done. And then I'm like, wow, that's kind of extra. Like, I think that's a little bit much. I think anybody else, are they gonna say anything? And they do. They're like, wow, don't you think that's a little, we're being a little bit too harsh? And then she breaks it down. And after she breaks it down, I'm like, oh yeah, I get it.
That makes sense.
And like such heart and such passion. Like when Killmonger came through and banished us and killed, or tried to kill T'Challa, you stuck by his side. You and your husband stuck by his side. I was like, oh yeah, I had to like crawl on my hands and knees to the Jabaris to help me out. And then I told you not to let Shuri go with you to get Riri, and you took her anyways. And it's like, oh man, you kind of
now she's abducted. Yeah.
Yes, and it is like literally her fault. And it's like, I get it. And then like the look on her what Denai Guerrera.
Yes.
Man, like if she
Dude,
sticks the scepter in the ground, and like, oh, like I felt it, man. Like on both ends, I felt it.
Such good acting.
It was incredible. And
I
then
100% agree. I have it on my notes to be like, bring up this scene because I wanted to talk about this scene because it's so true, because you do see it from both sides, right? Like you said, like I went on that same roller coaster. As soon as she was like, I'm gonna strip you, I'm like, what? I'm like, this is fucking Okoye. Why would you ever? This girl will lay her life on the line for this country. She's amazing. And then and she even says like, I've given everything to Wakanda, and I even put a blade to my husband's throat, like kind of thing. And then you said she breaks it down, and you're just like, well, fuck, that is her job.
Lost my entire family.
It just and the way Denai Guerrera, like the look and the pain in her eyes, the tears coming down, like that scene's super fucking powerful, man. I love that scene.
Yeah, definitely. Whew. And man, we're talking about Namor. I thought it was great. I think it was pretty shitty that the original artist or something like that of Namor or something was like body shaming him and saying like, he took a picture of himself and he like flexing. He's like, oh look, the old 60-year-old man has a better body. But like, it's not about that. Like he doesn't you don't have to be shaped like The Rock. Like, he did a great job just kind of going out there and
Yeah.
just, I don't know, being a badass.
Yeah, there's
I
different forms of fitness, like,
I love the detail that they don't really touch on, but they added into the movie of the Talokans underwater. They have like regular pigmentation as if when they were
Yeah.
normal humans, but then when they go out of the water, they turn blue. That's so cool. Like they could have just kept them
Yeah.
blue the whole time, or not
Yeah,
even turned them
exactly.
blue. But they
Yeah.
put that little neat detail in there that I thought was so freaking great. I love that.
It
I
was.
feel like that when you have heroes fighting the bad guys, which essentially they were the bad guys in this film, I think, was you have to make them look as unhuman as possible. So if they're soldiers, they're completely covered in gear, so you can't see the human attributes. If they're aliens, then that's okay. Or so in this case, they couldn't just have them running around looking like normal people. So they're like, let's paint them blue.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's
I
more than that, though. I mean, because it was just that little touch of like that's what their bodies do when they're not underwater, right? They had to have the little mask on so they could breathe with the water circulating through it, you know. And I like that idea of like
That was cool.
once they're
Yeah.
airborne, they turn blue. I think that was a super cool little aspect of their mutation.
Yeah. I like that they had the side characters of the Talokan, and they didn't really have a lot to do, but they had enough for people to say, "Ooh, that's my favorite character." Like I could see, like kids and stuff watch this movie, and like little Hispanic girls like, "Oh, I'm Namorita" or whatever. Like they gave her enough, like
Gamora.
she was a war Namora. Like they gave her enough, like she was a war, but she wasn't like a big piece of the movie. So like
Right.
I want to see more of her. Even like her
Lovely
like how
guy.
would you bend the knee? Oh, I was gonna mention a Akuma,
Atuma.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he
Atuma.
like
Atuma.
his
He
little
was
beef,
awesome. With
his
his
beef with
hammerhead.
the Koye.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
But yeah, his beef with the Koye was so good. Like warrior, calling her
Yeah.
out. And then
But also showing the respect by calling her warrior, like that was tight. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, you got skill. Let's do this. you
yeah,
know?
the little fight on the bridge, like they definitely had that little, that earned respect kind of thing. So yeah, I
Well,
love
especially
those
when they
two.
attacked Wakanda and they came face to face again. It was like, hey, it's you. Like, let's
Yeah.
go.
Oh yeah. Like,
I like that
Round
they
two.
continued that.
Exactly.
oh, when he like clotheslines Okoye, I was like, oh, like that looked like
Yeah.
it hurt.
Yeah, and then when he like hit the two vibranium stabs hit each other, and she's just like flying back.
Oh yeah,
like,
just like sliding. Yeah,
that was so
awesome.
dope. I
Love that
love the
bridge fight.
sirens. The sirens, like that was so freaking cool. Like a bit of like naval lore that they threw in there that like old sailors would talk about, but like they put into the MCU, like, oh, like sirens are real. Like I thought that was so cool. And then they just throw the grenade at them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love those things. My gosh, man. Like, the big thing. So going, talking with Angela Bassett, but like her death, like
That was the other thing I want to talk about.
powerful moments. Like,
Yeah.
she gave her life, right? Like she gave her life to save Riri, and that is something
Steve
that
Riri.
we do, like the older generation, like I would give my life for my littles, definitely, and especially like like me or them, like definitely them. And I love that. Oh, that moment she's swimming down to grab her, and then she's swimming up like so slowly, and then they cut away. I'm like, no, go back. And I'm like,
Let me
no,
ask,
they're
did
not
you
gonna
guys
do it.
think that they were going to actually do it?
Nope,
No,
not
no
at
way.
I
all.
didn't either.
No
It's
way.
like she's
I
coming
didn't
back.
either.
She's coming
Not
back.
especially not in this movie, right? Where you're like, we already got the big death of this movie.
Yes.
They're not
did
going to
this.
kill off her mom, right?
Yeah, no way. No way.
Boy,
Which
were we wrong. I was
which
like, God damn.
which I think was probably in the initial script.
Right.
So to have that funeral and all that, they probably already had that like going in there, but like, geez Louise, man.
I was
And
reading
then
an article with Angela Bassett that was saying that she did not want to be killed off in this movie. She fought it. And Ryan Coogler was like, yo, like, we got to do this. Like, this is what I need you to do. And talked her into it, but it said she was adamant back at him like, I should not die in this movie. Like,
Yeah.
there's no, but he was just like, for the growth, I think, that in his mind to get Shuri to that next step, that was the catalyst, right? Like, and then you got Namor being like, yo, I killed your queen, bring it, bitch. Like, and then he flies off, and you're just like, that was the
God.
catalyst for her to be like, all right, fuck this shit, give me a heart-shaped herb, I gotta
Yeah.
be the Black Panther, right? Like, so
for Killmonger to come
I
in.
like that turning point.
Like in movies, I never understand it. I know it's a movie cliche, but like they're like, don't go dying on me, and they keep like ringing that, they keep like hitting them with the defibrillator, and then somebody stops them like, they're gone. No, they're not gone. Keep going. Is what I'm screaming at the thing, and then they just stop. I'm like, how do you know like 2 or more? And they could have came back.
Right.
I don't know. But yeah, no, awesome, amazing, incredible freaking scene. Yeah. I love them explaining the history of Talokan. How they came to be. Like they didn't have to do that. They could have just, we've been like this for a long time, but they went there and they showed it, and it was really dope. And then they dropped the M word. I'm surprised.
They said it.
I'm surprised that somebody did that. There wasn't like a guy playing a conch in the background, like. But it's okay that they didn't do that, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. That obviously, me. Anytime I hear anything like that, I get super stoked and excited. So, yeah, man. But yeah, I could go on and on, like you guys said. Like them going so long without showing Nakia, and then her popping up like almost like halfway through the movie. You're just like, oh,
I forgot she was in the movie.
I did too.
I totally forgot she was in the movie.
And I got so happy and excited all over again. I'm like, like it's just like it reignited me, like yeah, and she was amazing. She's dope. Like
she's great.
Like I forgot that she was this like espionage kind of like character, and you see her doing all this like, oh yeah, I'm just here to help you, and oh no, she's there to like then just get in, get out kind of thing. So yeah. Which I guess Lupita Nyong'o was super excited to be able to speak Spanish on screen.
She was born in Spain. I didn't know that.
Yeah. She was super excited that they threw that in there. So yeah. I don't know, man. I like you said, I feel like I've been talking a lot. There's so much more I'm missing. Like just the fight in the beginning with the Dora Milaje and them walking the dudes in there, and I sent the text of everybody who's responsible for this attack. It's such like a flex, like such a Wakanda flex, and then leading on to the future. Like this wasn't like laser in the sky, like end of the world, big stakes, but it was for them because this meant their people in their home kind of thing, and. At the end, like they win, all is happy, and then there's this new partnership, and the Talokans are still kept a secret, which I love. And there's this now looming threat that the rest of the world, America, CIA, thinks Wakanda is responsible for these terrorist attacks and will potentially go after Wakanda. And that little thing that I'm just have echoing in the back of my mind that I'm going to be talking about in every episode. And DX is like, Sean, they're not going to war yet. That's phase 7. I'm going to be talking about it every freaking movie. Maybe now they're going to break out. They're going to break out Zemo, and Zemo's going to try to break back in. I don't know. They already broke Zemo out once in a show, so I don't know if they'll do that whole thing again. But yeah, man, just the heart, and my issue with Black Adam, you think about Guardians of the Galaxy, the movie has its own feel, with the friendship, and the friendship is family kind of thing. And Captain America, and it's like Fred loves like their little espionage and war tactics and shit. And then like Wakanda, where it is just like it's literally family, like they're all Wakandans, and the love that they have for each other, and the music and the culture and the costumes. Like shout outs to Ruthie Carter, the lead costume designer on this movie, because like Ramonda's
she got another Oscar in her sights.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
definitely, man. Like oh my gosh, I forgot to mention Namor's little headdress. I wish he would have wore that into combat. Like that
That
would have
is
been
cool.
so dope. Like that little serpent head thing. Gosh, that looks so cool. And the fact that they
It would have
made
been
like
too
I said,
heavy out of the water.
that's just,
It's cool though.
He's
It's
all
cool though.
like you
the
said,
shit's
Friggin,
heavy.
the fact that they made Namor like the corniest prince of the sea, like this elf-eared, bowl haircut looking goofy like dolphin smooth man, made him as cool as he is, and with the Mayan culture that they added and the detail. And if you listen to like the music that they play when they're in the Talokan and the detail to their costumes, it's like there's so much heart and effort went into this movie, and it comes out and it shows. So I'm sorry, guys. I'll stop. We can talk about other stuff. Anything else you had on the notes that you wanted to talk about, BX?
No, man, that was it. I just those were two big scenes that I wanted to really touch on was Queen's death and obviously Okoye being stripped. I think those were two big pivotal, scenes that we didn't really touch on that I wanted to circle back to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, we like I said, guys, we can go on and on. There's a lot to love in this movie. It's almost
There
3
is.
hours long. There's a
Yeah.
lot to love.
We could literally
So we're gonna
dissect
skip.
this movie in like quarters and just have our own little 2-hour section of just like, the first quarter. Oh, what'd you like about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna skip here to the mid-credit scene. This movie, of course, only has one, so not your typical Marvel movie with the two, one in the middle, one at the end. They felt this movie did something good in the middle here, and there was no reason to go back to anything else after the end of the film. Which is funny because I'm already seeing on like TikTok, there's a bunch of fake videos of an after credit scene at the very end that's all like Doctor Doom popping up.
Oh
And
wow.
I'm like, and all these people are falling for it. Like, this wasn't at my screening. Like, jeez, man. Like, people do some good shit on there. But yeah, one mid-credit scene, we go back to Shuri on the beach, and Nakia comes walking up with a little boy, and basically is like, "Hey, I got something to tell you. This is my kid, and his dad was T'Challa, and." So basically, like, mom knew about this, and this was T'Challa's choice to tell me to go back to Haiti with him and keep him away from Wakanda, just, so he doesn't get mixed up in all that and can live a regular life. And so yeah, meet your auntie, and he's like, hello, auntie. Then you find out that, he tells his Haitian name, but then his Wakandan name is Prince T'Challa. And you're just like, so in a roundabout way, we've circled back to we don't really need to recast, but in the future, we're gonna have a T'Challa that will probably be the Black Panther,
Yes.
and here you go. So
Yes.
they're gonna give it to you in a more suitable
Subtle.
way for the
Yeah.
MCU. So the only thing that sucks is I felt this kid was a little on the young inside to really like someone to wait 10 years for him
I
to be Black
know. Are we gonna
Panther, or like
speed
what
him
are we
up?
gonna
Is he
do?
gonna go into
Right.
the Speed Force or something? Or I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Like we're gonna get another snap, and he's gonna go away for 10 years, and then come back and then be like, "Hey, I'm grown up.
Right.
What's up, guys?" So yeah, I felt, or we're gonna have kid Black Panther with the other Young Avengers when they decide to do that.
Kang Dynasty or something, like future version of him or something. I don't know.
There you go.
That'd be cool. There you go. You get something else, but a very touching mid-credit scene that furthers the story a little bit more. You find out why Nakia wasn't at the funeral, why she didn't go back, and then now that there's this kid, and he had a kid, and going to carry on the legacy. So very, very touching to kind of give us more tears in this movie. So, Peeps, throw it back to you. What'd you think of this mid-credit scene?
Like I said, when I left the movie, this being the last scene that I had watched, it was very incredible, very touching. Like I hear people in the background, I'm like, no way, oh my gosh. Like people are flipping out, and I'm like, I think they're getting a little overexcited. I don't think they're gonna do what they think, and they do exactly what they think they're gonna do. So yes, like them giving us T'Challa, kind of going with this whole theme that they've been doing in phase 4 of like the next generation. Like I really like that. And to see where they could go with this, and you think about I don't even know their name. Like, what is their family name? I don't know. But the T'Challa family, like
The
Shuri is the
T'Challa-
last.
the T'Challas.
The T'Challa's right. Shuri is the last of them, and and then like wow, like if she doesn't continue that bloodline, like it ends with her. So like where else does it go after that? And then it's cool that they gave us this to kind of continue that legacy, and they could do so much. The fact that that his mother is Lupita Nyong'o, so if there is a future movie, she's definitely going to be a part of it. That it's so exciting, and even like he might even have like that Killmonger element. Like he's not born and raised in Wakanda, so he's like this outsider coming in, and everyone's like, "Ah, who do you think you are? You're not Wakandan." He's like, "But look, yes I am." And they didn't do that. That's a nitpick. They didn't do that at all in this movie. I was waiting for someone to like when they went up to Riri's like dorm, like, hey, I don't know, but
Well, Riri said, "Am I getting recruited?" I love that.
That's cool.
Yeah, but Riri's okay. She was okay. But yeah,
Fred,
but that
what'd
scene,
you think?
loved it. Yeah,
I mean,
credits.
what else to say? I mean, it was unexpected. That's for sure. I definitely didn't see that coming. And it was nice. It was like a breath of fresh air, kind of the whole time that ever since the announcement of his passing, it's been they need to recast Black Panther. I just feel like this character is too important to just be left off to the side and not be addressed. And so to be able to see that, it's easy to not have faith in the directors and the writers and the storytellers because of how many times we've been burned, where we said, well, this should have happened, or, this would have made more sense. And so it was kind of refreshing to have the experience where they actually did something really well. I feel like it was handled extremely well. I'm okay with that kind of transition because you're still being able to pay tribute to what Chadwick brought, and still keeping the character going down the road in the future. So obviously the age thing was definitely a concern, because initially, like your first response is, well, what does this mean? Like, are we getting black? Like, are they going to age him up? Whatever. But it was very nice and touching to close out with that. And the other thing I like about it was the whole film was, loss, and then, finally being able to have a moment of acceptance and that new life continuing on the legacy, right? And I just think that's so profound, and it was just exceptionally well done.
Yeah, totally agree. Lots that we could do with that in the future, and be curious to see where that goes. As always, we like to talk a little bit about the box office. So, Black Panther obviously coming out with $181 million opening, 331 million globally. It is the biggest November launch of all time, beating the Hunger Games record that has been there for quite some time. And taking that is the second biggest opening of the year, coming in behind Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which made 187 million when it came out back in February. So
that's close.
So close. I'm actually kind of shocked that it didn't beat it, with everything going for it. But a sequel here that doesn't have its lead character, and kind of like we talked about before, doesn't really have a strong lead that commands going to the box office. 181, pretty big. The first Black Panther movie made 202. So, a little bit below where the first movie was, but I don't see how you're not super happy with this opening as it stands with everything going for it. This is still massive. I think it's going to have, I don't think there's any competition for this movie really until Avatar comes out in about a month. So I think this movie's got a good 4 weeks of just kind of riding this wave, and I think it's going to make a lot of money.
And I love the respect that Rock even gives this movie. Like, yes, this movie, overshadowed his, but like he's not all salty about it like some of the, articles try to make it sound. Like he's very like well deserved, amazing movie.
Cool.
Yeah, and that's been driving me nuts, honestly. I know we're all three on Twitter and we see a lot of the shit, and I've seen so many comparisons of people being like, "Oh, but this movie made, as much as Black Adam in one weekend and all this stuff." And it's like,
Yeah,
dude, you cannot compare these two films. It drives me nuts that
yeah,
people are trying to compare them like they're on equal level. I'm like, Black Adam was an unknown character in his first movie, and it's DC, which doesn't have the fan base that Marvel does. And then you have a Marvel film that's a sequel and the 30th film in the MCU, and it's
sure.
like, are you really going to put these two on the same pedestal and then just laugh at The Rock like, oh, your movie failed in comparison to Black Panther? It's like, no
Right.
one thought it was going to make as much money as Black Panther. Like, come
Sure.
on, guys, let's be
Yeah.
fucking real here.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. But yeah, I saw the tweets from The Rock. He immediately came out after last weekend and was like, shout out to Black Panther, love to see the success. And then he even did another tweet where he was like, people are shocked that I gave props to Black Panther. And he was like, dude, when one comic book movie does well, it helps the whole industry, and he was like, I'm down for just everybody doing good, like it doesn't need to
Yeah.
be DC versus Marvel or anything like that again. And it's
Right.
just everybody's always looking for a fight
Yeah.
somehow,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
way, it's
Looking
like,
for that
just
drama.
celebrate, man.
Yeah.
So like I said, so this kind of wraps up phase 4 on the movie side. The Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special kind of technically ends phase 4, but that's a Disney Plus kind of special. But from a theatrical perspective, this is it. Phase 4 is shut down. We started with Black Widow. Obviously, we had Shang-Chi, we had the Eternals, we had Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, we had Thor: Love and Thunder, and then here we have Black Panther. Of course, this was also the first phase that gave us TV shows, right? We've talked a lot about the TV shows. We've had WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier and Loki and Miss Marvel and Moon Knight and She-Hulk and and it's just, we've had a lot of stuff come out in phase 4.
Yeah.
So I just quickly, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but just kind of quickly, what is our overall thoughts on phase 4 now that it's kind of complete? I think now that we've all kind of agreed that we see the bigger picture as this was the grief kind of phase, like we're all kind of grieving, and how do we move on kind of in a phase. It's a very divisive phase, I'll say that, especially from the world online. So let's go through some thoughts. I'll go to you, Frigginz. I'll throw it to you first. Kind of what's your overall kind of thoughts now that phase 4 is wrapping?
You know, I had a thought as you were talking earlier when you mentioned that the MCU has now hit 30 films, and it was kind of funny because I was like, oh, we're in our 30s and now everyone's having kids. So I feel like that's what it's been about, is like pulling out all the kids now. So with the younger cast members that they're starting to drop. Honestly, I have to say that as a whole, I still understanding now that it's been about more of that grief and the next chapter, right, of the youth. That makes me feel a little bit better about it. But this is entertainment. I have to sit down and think of like how I experience these things one after another. And it's challenging because when I go back to the past and I think about all the, when MCU first started, and it was almost like every time something was coming out, like it was getting better and better and better with a few exceptions. And in this instance for phase 4, I think it was the reverse. It was like every time something was coming out, I was just like mediocrely saying like, okay, that was fun, but it didn't really knock my socks off with the exception of just a couple. So having that reverse experience has been a little bit of a downer for me. And I struggle to find out if that's more about what's being produced or if that's more about what I'm looking for changing, and am I reaching a burnout phase? But, again, we started real early on with Shang-Chi, and it's, way high up on my list. It's one of my favorite ones. So I know they still have that potential. And then here with Black Panther, like, having those emotions coming back, and No Way Home bringing emotions. So it's there. But I just feel like there's a piece of the puzzle that's not clicking with me. So overall, with phase 4, I'm just kind of feeling like very lackluster, with a few standout either complete films or a few standout maybe moments. Like there's some significant moments in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness that I really like, but as a whole, very underwhelmed, but not dissatisfied.
Mm. Okay, fair enough.
Yep.
Peeps, what are your overall thoughts?
I am absolutely happy with Phase 4. I think it is very strong, especially for a starting phase. I think it's fantastic. I mean, when you think of like an origin film, generally, like, okay, the origin film's just kind of setting things up for, what's to come. But from what we've received, I think so far in phase one with the Marvel TV shows giving us all these new characters that we could potentially see, like it I compare phase one, or sorry, phase four to phase one, and I think phase four has a lot stronger movies. Looking at my list, I have 3 movies alone that are in my top 10 for phase four, and of phase one I have 2. So and one of them was the big Avengers movie, which is kind of cheap. So
Yeah.
I think it's great. I'm loving it. I'm loving where they're going. A lot of people, and please don't think I'm taking any shots, but a lot of people want to see the big picture right now. They want to see okay, so they're getting all these infinity stones, and now they're leading to this. Like, we didn't have that in phase one. We didn't even know phase one was phase one when it first started. I think I think it's because now they have these phases. We have these expectations that aren't really fair. Um, like it's a company, they just got these rights to these new characters that they probably would have already given us. So like, I don't know. I think from what we've had, what we've received, Spider-Man, Black Panther, Shang-Chi, those 3 movies alone are just like miles beyond like a lot of action superhero films. And then even like Doctor Strange too. It's again not my top 10, but it's so fun. It's so fun. Even Thor Love and Thunder, say what you want about it, it is a fun movie. So I'm enjoying phase 4, and
Yeah.
I'm excited for phase 5.
All right. And Peeps, I think I kind of align more with you as well too. You do have to look at phase four as phase one part two. Like it is. We had phase one, two, three, which told, the Infinity Saga. And then now we're starting over again, right? With the multiverse saga. So we're in another chapter. This is another book, and we're introducing a lot of new characters, and it's all basically phase one again. Um, I think what's harder with this phase is the addition of the Disney Plus shows, because it's not just the movies, right? Like if we were going solely based off the movies, there's a lot of strong stuff here. But I think when you filter in the TV shows, it's what is weighing a lot of people down, because a lot of people don't like a lot of the shows. And then it's
Yeah.
just kind of like, that's making this phase kind of whack. And it's like, and that's kind of my disconnect, right? Like I think the movies are all strong. I think that the shows are hit and miss, like I like all the shows to a certain extent, but they're not as strong as the movies are, right? And that just might be because it's a show format and we're stretching something out over 6, 7, 8, 9 episodes. You have great stuff like WandaVision, and then you get just subpar stuff with some of the other stuff, and it's just kind of with most of the movies. I mean, the weakest movie in phase four for me was Eternals, and that was
Yeah.
still a 4-star movie to me. Like, I
Yeah.
still enjoyed it. I think it's better than most people give it credit for, and it's still pretty strong. Black Widow is strong. Shang-Chi is amazing. I forgot, that even Spider-Man No Way Home was in there, and that movie's amazing. Like,
Incredible, yeah.
I like you said, I had super fun with Doctor Strange. I had a ton of fun with Thor: Love and Thunder, and then we came here and just kind of culminated with this beast of Wakanda Forever. um it's a hell of a slate when you look at it kind of just from a movie
Yeah.
perspective. I think where the divisiveness comes is people not liking Miss Marvel or She-Hulk, or like the Moon Knight. Those shows were rocky for a lot of people, and I think it really brought the overall vibe down on phase four. But it's going to be interesting going into phase five. We kick off in just a couple months with Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania, which I think is going to be a great kickoff to phase
Woo-hoo.
five.
Should be
Yeah.
We got
fun.
the
Should be
Marvels
fun.
coming after that, and we got Secret Invasion, and we got Ironheart later in the year. I mean, we got some good
Thunderbolts.
stuff on the
Yeah.
horizon.
Guardians.
Guardians, yes, in May. I mean, like I forget sometimes the Guardians is even coming out because it feels like this movie that's just this dream out there
Yeah,
somewhere that I
never
keep
gonna
forgetting
happen.
that it even exists. You know,
Yeah.
where's our trailer? But yeah, Guardians, I mean, geez, man, we got some good stuff coming. I'm excited for phase 5 and to continue to see where this road takes us. But yeah, phase
Yeah.
4 has been definitely very, very interesting. So we'll see what the thoughts are for a lot of people as they wrap up. We'll have to maybe do another Am I Still in the Air where we just rank all of phase 4. That'd be kind of fun to
Ooh.
do,
I'm
man.
down.
Let's break it all down. The movies, the TV shows, we'll break down all of phase
The
4
specials.
after the holiday specials. And then
The
yes, Fred, then
teen
at that point
specials.
you
I
can
want the specials.
slide in your Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
So, at that point. Okay, guys. Well, final thoughts and scores for Wakanda Forever as we go around. Quick thoughts overall. Our big send off to people watching. Maybe somebody that decided to watch a spoiler review and hadn't seen the movie. What are our final thoughts and what is our score out of 5 stars? Fred, kick it off.
I think I've kind of covered most of my final thoughts in that discussion of the wrap up. But the last thing I will add, I guess, would be that I'm really looking forward to seeing more Namor. I'm wondering what they're going to do with that character going forward, being the quote unquote
Hope
first
he gets his own
mutant.
movie.
Yeah, getting his own film, how that's gonna and how he's going to impact this world. So, you know, I talked a ton about the Black Panther Wakanda Forever experience and the feelings and the vibes. So I think they did what they intended to do, and that was to make us feel things, make us have fun, and really give us a good show. So with that, I did struggle somewhat with my score. I wasn't exactly sure where to place this. I really teetered between two different scores. And I'm gonna say this: when I first watched Black Panther, if you go back and watch, like I think we did "Am I Still in the Air" about it, you know, I had some relative nitpicks, and my score was a lot lower. Like I think I even was at like a 4 at one point, and then I watched it again, and then I was like, okay, that's 4.5. Then I watched it again, and I went, oh, 5. Oh, it's a 5. And then now every time I watch it, I like it more and more and more. And I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, I absolutely love Black Panther. And I think that I might be in that boat here again because, you know, especially with that initial reaction of missing the strong, like identified lead in the beginning, it definitely pulled me out. And if a film pulls me out of the moment, then I feel like if I catch that happening, I don't necessarily feel that I can score it a full on 5. So I'm going with a 4.5. But you know, as we do this, if we revisit, yeah, this very likely could be a 5 later. I don't
Fucking
know.
4.5.
We'll put a little asterisk by it.
Yeah. I gotta watch it a couple more times, I think, for it to
Subject to
really
change.
sink in. But I'm going 4.5 right now.
Okay, Peeps.
Man, you know, we've been ranting and raving about this movie. Obviously, I really, really enjoyed this. And I think one of the biggest things about this movie that I appreciate is this movie is directed, created, written by a person that was mourning the loss of their friend. As DX said in the opening, the script was done. He had actually turned it in. He turned in the first draft of the script to be approved by Marvel Studios, and then Chadwick passes, and nobody really saw it coming. And they knew he was sick, and I think I even heard that he was kind of expecting to kind of come out of it. Yeah, I'm feeling a little under the weather, but like I'm going to come out of it and you know finish the movie. But like obviously that didn't happen. So to have to hear about a close friend of yours passing away, in your mind, like very sudden, and now I got to make a script about this person, like it's got to be hard. And the fact that he did it in such a way and it came out the way that it did, that's why I was giving this movie a pass going into it. I'm like, this is a rewritten storyline, wasn't even his original thought. On the fly, he's mourning as he's making it, as is every other cast member. Like, it's great. And it turned out perfect. So many things like I said, we said we can go on and on about things that we like. And yes, the movie wasn't perfect. There's things that could have been cut out. There are like character moments that didn't really make sense, spines that should have been severed that are actually cured by herbs. Oh, the thing I forgot to bring up earlier, I thought it was silly that they can just 3D print the herb like like it's a figure from a D&D game or something. Like, oh yeah, hey, print that. Print it just prints a figure. Like, what? I don't know.
Right.
Like I
That they could still like mash into like the little soup to drink.
Yeah.
And they just use it like it's a normal herb. It's like, I don't know, like maybe if they could have grown it, like use something and then like maybe enhanced its growth or something like that. I don't know, but whatever, nitpick. But all in all, like I love what I saw. The heart in this movie, like you said, DX in the beginning, and then they did it again at the end. Like you would think that it would only be like one scene or one moment, and they would have just left it alone. But they paid tribute again to him, and just it was very beautiful movie. And yeah, I give this movie 5 stars. Potentially I could change and it could go to like 5.5 or 6. It could just break the star. Like,
Break the stars.
I love this movie so much. I think the thing that will change a lot is its position.
Yes.
With everything else. I have this right next to a movie that I feel like I really love, but I'm like, this movie can definitely kick this other movie to the curb. So once I watch this movie more, and then those my other top movies, I'm not going to tell you yet. I we'll see where it lands, but yeah, for now I'm comfortable where I have it.
Yeah. I totally agree. I was talking to Frigginz before you jumped on, and I was talking about my ranking and kind of feeling like, I feel like this one can slide around quite a bit depending on, replay value and watching it again and soaking it in a little bit more. I am just going off the one showing. So I definitely need to see this again at some point very soon.
Yeah.
And then we'll see where it really falls, because we'll get into that in a second. My overall final thoughts: amazing film. Like I said, outstanding was my word coming out the theater. Incredible film, like I said, that just takes you on every emotional roller coaster, highs, lows, action. I mean, really everything you want in a big comic book movie, and more is here. With amazing acting, right? Like everybody really just killing it. And like you said, Ryan Coogler having to take this task that was just monumental of having to rewrite this film, and the whole cast and crew having to make this film without their lead, is just so problematic in its own right. And they pulled together and they did it, and you could feel the real emotion in this film. That I think just made it so real. And like I said, and I think that was the thing that makes it just stand apart, is the raw emotion of this movie, of the music, of everything. Like I said, the Talican music, the Rihanna song, like everything's placed so perfectly in this movie to take you on this ride and to really make you feel it. There's a lot of TikToks with the whole Talican song, and everybody just like, just chilling and just having that. Just so great. But yeah, I agree. 5 out of 5. Like, what can you say? I mean, this movie really hits it on every single level. So easy.
And another thing I'll say too real quick is like, I love like the inclusion that movies are doing nowadays, and like I can't think of a Hispanic superhero, honestly, like at all. And the fact that now Hispanic kids have a hero to look up to, or whatever, he killed a mom, but to kind of look at and be like, I want to be him, or like I'm like, they're all playing with everyone. I'm Namor, and it's really cool and that they did that, and yeah, so throw that out there too.
Agree.
It is, man. It means a lot. It is. It's why the first Black Panther did so much, right? Because there wasn't a big like black superhero, and it's continued. And now from a Latino perspective, and really from a female perspective, right? Like, I mean, sometimes like you see so much hate, like, oh man, all the girls, blah blah blah.
MCU.
I have an 8-year-old daughter, like, who's just blowing her mind that she has all these female superheroes, right?
Yeah,
like
cool.
A couple years ago, it was Captain Marvel. That was all she had to pick from, right? Like, it was like, I got one,
maybe
now
Black
she's
Widow,
like, I don't know what to be for Halloween, because I have 5 people to pick from, right? Like I could do this, I
Yeah.
could do that, and like, and that's incredible. My wife even brought that up the other day. Like, I'm so happy that she can see all these powerful women on screen, and that she can grow up with that, right? Because we didn't
Yeah.
have that
Yep.
before. Like, and I wouldn't have ever looked at that without a daughter, probably myself. But like, it's really cool. It's cool because all the boys, like, we had Superman, we had Batman, we had all our shit growing up. This is
Yep.
different, man. It's a different
Yeah.
time, and it's really cool that they can see themselves, right? Like, my daughter was like so on the first Black Panther before we rewatched it, and then after we rewatched it, she was like, that was really good. And then watching Wakanda Forever, she's like all about Shuri now, right? Like,
Oh,
oh,
that's
Shuri's
cool.
so
That's
cool.
dope.
And like, yeah, like, I mean, like, that was cool to see, like, because I was like, I don't know if she's gonna like this film. This film might be too heavy. This might feel, like, I didn't know how I was gonna resonate with that with her, and she loved it. Like, she really soaked it all in. And now, yeah, she asked for a Shuri shirt the other day, and she's got one now. So
That's
it's pretty
so
cool,
cool.
man.
So cool.
So as you know, if you've watched these before, we always end up with our updated MCU countdown. So this is where we break down. We're not doing the TV shows yet. We are just focusing on the 30 theatrical movies that have hit since phase 1 now through phase 4. So we have 30 films. How do they fall in now after we slide in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever? So this will be interesting to see where we fall. We'll start with Fred because his list is the worst, and then we'll move forward from there.
Damn you, Don.
So,
all right. So the correct list order is starting from bottom up, just in case you're new.
Yes.
30
Start at
is
30.
where I'm starting. So that would be Iron Man 2, then Iron Man 3. Already. Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, and Eternals. Those might switch. I'm not sure yet. I might have to rewatch Dark World, but Eternals is 27. Incredible Hulk, Captain Marvel, Avengers Age of Ultron, Ant-Man Wasp, Spider-Man Far From
You do
Home.
numbers with it. You're just reading names, and now we're losing where you're at.
Oh, sure. So
some numbers, buddy. Come on, you're not a rookie with this.
Got it. So Ant-Man and Wasp was 23, Spider-Man Far From Home was 22, Black Widow is 21, Doctor Strange Multiverse Madness is 20, Doctor Strange 19, Thor the first one 18, Thor Love and Thunder 17, and then Black Panther Wakanda Forever is currently sitting at 16.
I literally knew it.
Good call.
Wow.
Number 15 would then be Ant-Man. Number 14 would be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Number 13 would be No Way Home. Number 12 is Black Panther. Number 11 is Thor Ragnarok. Those two I'm struggling with as well. Those could alternate. And then my final top 10. That would be Captain America the First Avenger. Shang-Chi at Captain America the First Avenger at 10. Shang-Chi at 9. Avengers at 8. Civil War 7. Iron Man 6. Spider-Man Homecoming 5. Avengers Infinity War 4, Avengers Endgame 3, Captain America Winter Soldier 2, and my favorite is Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one. That's my list.
Where did you have No Way Home?
That was at 13. I also, admittedly, and this is,
I think you have Homecoming higher than that.
I love Homecoming. Homecoming is great.
Homecoming is awesome.
But Ragnarok higher than that.
I feel like I need to rewatch not only No Way Home, but like
you've been saying that for the last year. Watch the goddamn movie.
Well, and that's the thing is, of all the Phase 4 films, the only one that I wanted and felt like I had to rewatch was Shang-Chi. I watched that twice in the same day because of how much it hit me. And I haven't had that with anything else in Phase 4 so far. So currently, that's the only one I've seen multiple times. And I think I've seen it like 3 or 4 times. And that's why it's so much higher. But anyway, that's my list.
Watch the more fun cut, and then you can see.
I do need to see that. Yeah.
Some of the extra stuff. It'll give you a reason to rewatch.
That's true. That's true.
All right, peeps, what you got?
All right, so starting on the same one as Frigginz, but then just completely going a different direction, like immediately after. Number 30 is Iron Man 2. 29 is Thor, first one. 28 is Iron Man 3. 27 is Captain Marvel. 26, The Incredible Hulk. 25, The Eternals. 22 is Thor Dark World, Thor 2. 23 is Captain America. 22, I apparently typed a W in there, so I don't know what I have right there. So
what?
I'll have to fix that at some point.
Mhm.
21.
Was that where Wakanda Forever was?
That's absolutely not Wakanda Forever.
Black Widow, maybe? Widow?
Yep.
Wonder Woman is DC.
That makes
That's the
sense.
wrong one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could probably see it being Black Widow. Yeah. But yeah, so all right, so that'll be Black Widow for 22. 21 is Avengers Civil War. No, Avengers 2 is Age of Ultron. So Age of Ultron. Number 20, Doctor Strange 1, titled Doctor Strange. Number 19 is Thor Ragnarok. Number 18 is Thor Love and Thunder. 17
is Ragnarok. That shit drives me crazy. That's crazy.
17, they're the same movie. 17 is Ant-Man 2. 16 is Ant-Man 1. 15 is Civil War, Captain America 3. 14 is Spider-Man Far From Home 2. 13 is Spider-Man Homecoming. 12 is the original Black Panther. 11 is Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. All right, top 10. Number 10, Iron Man. 9, Avengers. 8, Shang-Chi. 7, Wakanda Forever. 6, Guardians Volume 2. Top 5, that would be starting with Spider-Man No Way Home. Yep. Number 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Then number 3 is Endgame. Number 2 is Captain America 2, Winter Soldier. And number 1, Infinity War. This list is getting longer every time we do it.
It is. It takes longer to review it.
Show us, DX. How should this list look?
Yeah. This guy over here with the quote unquote correct list.
Yes. By the way. I was trying to think. There was something I wanted to ask about Peeps list, and then I totally fucking spaced it.
Is it why you have Age of Ultron so high?
Because
it's an Avengers movie.
Why you have it so low?
Oh.
Would you have Ragnarok so low? Oh, damn it! What the hell was I thinking? Shit, I can't think of it. Okay, well I'll just get going. So number 30 is Captain America, the First Avenger. Number 29, Iron Man 3, which is way worse than Iron Man 2. I don't know what's wrong with you guys. Number 28 is The Incredible Hulk. Number 27 is Black Widow. Number 26 is Eternals. Number 25, Thor the Dark World. Number 24, Iron Man 2. Number 23, the first Thor movie. Number 22, Captain Marvel. Number 21, Doctor Strange. Number 20, Ant-Man. Number 19, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Number 18 is Wakanda Forever. So that's where I'm going to slide that in. But this is what I was telling Fred before you jumped on. I was like, I feel like this one will shift a lot again on other viewings. I was actually kind of shocked as I kind of played with it on Letterboxd and was kind of drag and dropping. And then I was like, 18 really? Like out of the 30? Like I feel like it's higher in my head.
Yeah.
But I think what it is when I look at my list on top of this is more of a fun aspect, right? Like Wakanda Forever is a very heavy movie. And I feel like I probably had a lot more fun with these other movies and they're more enjoyable to rewatch. And I think that's maybe why they take it a little bit higher. But yeah, so Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, I'll put it 18. Number 17, the original Black Panther movie. So I have them side by side right now. 16, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. 15, Shang-Chi. Number 14, Spider-Man Far From Home. Number 13, Iron Man. Number 12, Thor and Love and Thunder. Number 11, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Number 10, Spider-Man Homecoming, at number 10. Number 9, Captain America the Winter Soldier. Number 8, Spider-Man No Way Home. Number 7, Thor Ragnarok. Number 6, Civil War. Number 5, Guardians of the Galaxy. And then we got our Avengers peeps as always. Number 4, Avengers Age of Ultron. Number 3, The First Avengers. Number 2, Endgame. And number 1, forever, Infinity War.
Forever.
Forever until Secret Wars comes out that has Wolverine in it and Deadpool and everybody else that we're missing. And then this movie's amazing.
All the Spider-Man's got Nick Cage's Ghost Rider coming through.
Yes, live action Spider-Punk and
Chris
Gwen
Evans
Stacy.
is playing multiple characters. He's Johnny Storm. He's Captain America. Like he's the guy from Scott Pilgrim. Like he's just gonna pop up with all kinds of characters in the movie.
Yeah,
exactly. All right. Well, there you go, guys. Go 30 films, man. I can't believe it. This list does continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's insane to think. Started in 2008, and here we are almost in 2023, 30 movies later. And a handful of television shows as well, too. So, like I said, man, I think we'll reassemble here soon and do a full phase 4 countdown with movies and TV shows. It'd be fun to kind of slap it all together and see what we think. So very cool there. All right. Well, that is our Am I Still in the Air? Black Panther Wakanda Forever spoiler review. And of course, like, let's shout it out. Let's go around the horn. Start with Peeps. Tell people where they can find you.
Well, obviously at reddragonsradio.com. But I do have my own podcast, The People's Forum, PEE. I throw all my new episodes out on the Twitters. You can follow me where DX let you know earlier. Also, it's right there for my peoples at the Twitters. So yeah, I talk about this mainly lately, but I want to kind of just go into like basic movie reviews, TV show reviews. But you know, time is a thing that I just don't have lately.
Time is just a construct.
Oh, okay. Yeah, gotcha. But yeah, that's where you'll find me.
All right. Frigginz.
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Frigginz, Frigginz. That's Frigginz with a Z. And I am lucky enough to continuously be invited back, even though I have terrible lists and terrible opinions. I don't know how, but I get invited back.
Your time is running out, Fred. Time is running out.
The clock is ticking. But I do still show up at reddragonsradio.com as well.
Phase 4 also ends with Fred's last appearance. Am I Still in the Air?
Oh, that's cool.
We're just waiting to end Phase 4 and then start Phase 5.
We're gonna recast them. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We'll have a little Frigginz that'll take your place.
That's funny. But yeah, here on Red Dragons Radio, guesting here on Am I Still in the Air or on the People's Forum. So you can catch in podcast format there. I also do some TTRPG live action or actual play live streaming on Twitch. I got a couple different shows there, but my main one is on the Free Forge network. So that's twitch.tv/the Free Forge or on YouTube/the Free Forge on replays. The live stream goes on Tuesdays at 7:30 Central, and we play a Arcane / League of Legends setting where it's a fresh story, homebrew characters, and it's really fun. Definitely check that out. Also on Twitch, Beat and Friends, occasional Saturdays. We've been on a little bit of a delay for that one. But yeah, Instagram and Twitter is the easiest way to find out when those things drop.
Hells yeah. And of course, Am I on the Air? Make sure you follow it, all one word there. You can see everything scrolling along the bottom there. We're on all the different social medias. Just search Am I on the Air? It's pretty easy to find it anywhere you look. You can follow me directly at DXDonMega if you're looking to follow along in both places. But yes, Am I on the Air, as you know, airs new episodes every Monday night, bringing you the latest and greatest in entertainment news, non-spoiler reviews, television, movies, everything going on a week-to-week basis. So make sure you check that out. So we thank you once again for joining us here on this spoiler review. It's always a lot of fun. And man, we were really good at clocking in at about the same time every single episode.
Literally,
I don't know how we do it.
Pretty cool.
I don't know. I feel that way with my own show too. I'm always like, man, I hit that like 45-minute mark like perfectly, like every time without even trying. So we're very weird how podcasting works at times. But,
It is.
you know, but yes, so this has been awesome. I'm glad to have you guys on again as always. Keep posted so we can see when the next good stuff is coming. But make sure you follow the guys everywhere they are. Listen to the People's Forum. Check out reddragonsradio.com. Check out the Pop Culture Pros. Check out everything where we're streaming, amiontheair.com. Subscribe on all your favorite podcast feeds and follow along. So until next time, y'all. Wakanda forever.